Minimal Means More. Mastering the Art of Intentional Earning. Written by Ronnie Rowland. Published by Growth Literacy Lounge. Success is not in what you have, but who you are. Bo Bennett. Let's be honest, most of us weren't taught to think critically about how we earn. We were taught to earn more. To climb, hustle, maximize. To keep saying yes until we're successful enough to say no. But somewhere along the way, the pursuit of more starts costing us more than we bargained for. We chase numbers that don't mean anything to us. We take pride in being busy, even when we're buried, and we quietly wonder why success feels so off. Why we're earning more but enjoying it less. Why we've achieved so much and still feel stretched, tired, disconnected. That's what this book is here to shift. Minimal Means More isn't about earning less or scaling back your ambition. It's about earning with intention, on purpose, not by accident. It's about redefining what enough means to you and designing your income around what actually matters, not what looks impressive, not what gets applause, what feels right, what honors your time, energy, and values. You'll find no fluff here. Just honest reflection, real stories, and practical tools to help you create an income stream and a work life that fits your life instead of consuming it. We'll explore how to align your earning with your values, set boundaries that protect your peace, and let go of the hustle habits that keep you stuck. This isn't a one-size-fits-all formula. It's a shift in philosophy. A recentering. A coming home. By the end of this book, you'll have a new lens, a filter for how you earn, why you earn, and what you're willing to trade for it. And hopefully you'll start to realize that you don't have to do more to feel like more. You already have what you need. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Cost of Chasing More. We've all been sold the same silent script: earn more, do more, be more. At first it feels like momentum. Every new client, every extra hour, every yes feels like progress. But eventually, that momentum turns into a treadmill. You're running, but you're not going anywhere. You're earning more but feeling less energy, less clarity, less time for what actually matters. And the worst part? You can't remember when you agreed to all this. It just happened. I used to believe that more money meant I was winning. I took every gig. I said yes to every opportunity. I filled my calendar with calls that drained me, projects that paid but didn't align, and clients who needed more than I had to give. And from the outside, it looked like success. But inside, it felt like erosion. My creativity was shot. My weekends blurred into workdays. And I started to wonder, if this is what success feels like, why am I so exhausted? You might be feeling that too. That quiet friction between how much you're earning and how little you're living. It sneaks in when you're responding to emails at 10 p.m., when you're dreading another Zoom call that doesn't light you up, when you're thinking, if I can just get through this month, but then next month comes, and it's more of the same. More income, sure, but at the cost of peace, space, presence. Here's what no one tells you: chasing more money without intention comes with hidden fees. Not just taxes and overhead, but energetic overdraft. Your time, your relationships, your mental bandwidth. We convince ourselves it's temporary. That once we hit a certain number, then we'll slow down, then we'll rest. Then we'll reclaim our lives. But you and I both know what happens. The number moves. The goals grow. The chase continues. There's a reason people burn out with full bank accounts. Because earning without alignment feels like theft. You're constantly giving away parts of yourself to keep the money flowing. But what if you didn't have to? What if more isn't the goal, but a distraction? What if the question isn't, how can I make more? But what do I actually need? That question, uncomfortable as it may be, is the first crack in the illusion. It's where freedom starts. Intentional earning doesn't mean giving up ambition. It means giving your ambition direction. It's about defining your enough and designing your income around your life, not your life around your income. When you stop chasing more for its own sake, you begin creating from clarity, and what you create from clarity has power. It aligns with who you are. It respects your time. It nourishes instead of drains. This chapter is the invitation to pause, to step off the treadmill, to ask better questions, because you don't need to hit bottom to reset. You just need to get honest. If you're tired, if you're stretched, if you're making more money than ever and feeling less like yourself, you're not broken. You're just caught in the loop, and the loop can be interrupted. This book isn't about earning less, it's about earning better. With intention, with rhythm, with self-respect. And it starts here, with the courage to admit that the path of more isn't working the way you were promised. Because once you stop chasing, you can start choosing, and that changes everything. Chapter 2. You're already rich, you just forgot. There's a strange kind of poverty that shows up in people who are doing just fine on paper. They're paying the bills. They're even stacking some wins. But underneath the surface, they feel like they're always behind. Not enough time, not enough joy, not enough meaning. And the irony? Most of them are technically successful. They're earning, producing, progressing. But they're not thriving. They're surviving with a padded bank account. You may have felt this before, when the numbers in your account rise, but your sense of satisfaction stays flat. When the inbox is full, but your heart isn't. That's because money is only one kind of currency. And we've been taught to measure wealth with the narrowest ruler possible, income. But real wealth is multidimensional. It includes time, peace, presence, energy, alignment. And the truth is, you're probably richer than you think, you've just been measuring wrong. Think about it. What's the point of having more money if you have no time to enjoy it? What's the point of scaling your income if your relationships are wilting on the sidelines? We chase these numbers because they're visible. They're measurable. You can track them on an app, report them on a tax return, show them off if you want to. But the deeper currencies, the ones that make life feel full, those are quieter. They don't scream for your attention, but when they're missing, you feel it. There was a moment when I realized I was already rich, I just didn't know how to see it. I was sitting on the porch one morning, no meetings, no pressure, coffee in hand. The air was calm. The day was mine. No client could have paid me more than I felt in that moment. That was real wealth. And it didn't come from a raise or a big deal. It came from space. It came from alignment. It came from remembering that I get to decide what rich means. You get to decide too. You don't have to follow someone else's definition. You can redefine wealth on your own terms. Maybe for you, it means waking up without an alarm, or working 4 days a week, or taking Fridays off to paint, write, rest, parent, hike, whatever feeds you. The goal isn't to reject money, it's to reframe its role. Money should serve your life, not consume it. When your life is structured around your values, not your income goals, every dollar you earn feels different. One powerful shift is creating what I call your enough line. It's not a ceiling, it's a center. It's the baseline that allows you to live well, cover your needs, honor your priorities, and move with intention. And once you define that number, you get clarity, you stop overcommitting. You stop saying yes out of fear, you stop chasing just because you can. You realize you already have so much of what you thought was missing. The world wants you to forget this. It's built on your dissatisfaction. Every ad, every hustle slogan, every comparison trap wants you to feel a little behind. That's how systems stay profitable, by keeping you perpetually unsatisfied. But when you reclaim your own definition of enough, you unplug from that game. You stop running on borrowed metrics. You start living on purpose. You're already rich. Not because everything is perfect, but because you have the power to design a life that fits, a life that breathes. A life that reflects who you are, not just what you earn. So take a breath. Look around. Reclaim what's already yours, because the most valuable things can't be invoiced, they can only be lived. Chapter 3. Earning on purpose, not by accident. Most of us didn't choose how we earn, not really. We followed momentum. We followed opportunity. We followed what paid the bills and kept things moving. And at some point we woke up inside a system we didn't consciously design. We took the job because it was there. We added the client because they asked. We raised our rates because someone told us we should, but none of that means we were earning on purpose. It just means we were participating. There's a difference between making money and designing income. One is reactive. The other is intentional. One is about staying afloat. The other is about steering. When you earn by accident, your work is shaped by whatever shows up, whatever demand, trend, or external pressure crosses your path. But when you earn on purpose, your work is shaped by values, by them. By clarity. It's the difference between drifting and directing. We rarely stop to ask, is this income aligned with who I am? Does this work reflect what I value? Do I feel expanded or diminished after doing it? We're so busy optimizing and scaling that we forget to check the foundation. And if that foundation was built on default choices, it's no wonder we sometimes feel out of sync with the work we do, even if it looks successful on the outside. Intentional earning starts with a pause. It begins with the decision to design instead of drift. You don't have to blow up your life to do it. You just have to start asking better questions. What kind of energy do I want in my day? What kind of clients do I feel most alive serving? What time of day am I most creative? How much money is enough to feel stable, supported, and spacious? These aren't luxury questions. They're essential ones. They shape the architecture of a life that fits. When you shift from accidental to intentional income, something powerful happens. You start filtering opportunities instead of absorbing them. You stop saying yes to every offer just because it's there. You stop chasing gigs that pay well but cost you peace. You create a filter that asks, does this align with my values, energy, and priorities? And when the answer is no, you trust yourself enough to decline. That's when earning becomes clean, purposeful, sustainable. We often fear that turning down work means missing out, but what we're really doing is making space. Space for the kind of work that feeds us instead of depleting us. Space for the projects that match our rhythm. Space for income that supports, not sabotages, our well-being. You don't need more hustle. You need more alignment. And alignment starts with awareness. I remember when I first decided to stop saying yes out of guilt or scarcity. It felt risky at first, like I was turning down money for the sake of a feeling. But that feeling, ease, spaciousness, joy, became my compass, and over time, the work that came in matched it. I attracted clients who respected boundaries, projects that felt meaningful, schedules that breathed. I wasn't making money the right way. I was making it the real way, on my terms. You have that same power. The power to redesign and to recalibrate. To shift from automatic earning to authentic earning. It starts small, with one choice, one no, one brave yes. You don't need permission. You need clarity. Because when your income is built on purpose, every dollar carries your values with it. And that kind of money? It doesn't just pay bills, it builds a life. Chapter 4. Minimal effort, maximal impact. Somewhere along the way, we learn to equate effort with worth. The harder you work, the more you deserve. The longer your to-do list, the more legitimate your success. We were taught to admire the grind, the hustle, the sacrifice. But here's the truth no one advertises: more effort doesn't always equal more value. In fact, it often just equals more exhaustion. Minimal effort isn't about being lazy. It's about being precise. It's about knowing exactly what moves the needle, and letting go of everything that doesn't. When you strip away the noise, the busy work, the overcomplicated systems, what you're left with is clarity. And clarity creates leverage. It allows you to do less while creating more impact, more energy, more space, not because you're cutting corners, but because you're cutting the nonsense. You've probably had moments where something came easily, an idea, a conversation, a project, and it worked. It resonated. It paid. And yet, part of you may have felt guilty about it. Like it couldn't be real success if it didn't cost you something. That guilt is a leftover belief from a culture that romanticizes burnout. But the truth is, ease isn't a red flag. It's a signal. It's showing you where your natural strengths live, where your alignment is. And when you lean into that ease instead of resisting it, you start building income from flow instead of force. Think about the last time you over-delivered. Maybe you spent hours perfecting a proposal, rewriting an email, or preparing for a call that didn't need half the effort. We do it because we want to be seen as professional, prepared, valuable. But often, all we're doing is diluting our energy. The client doesn't notice the extra 10 hours. The audience doesn't need the 5 bonus slides. What they remember is how clear you were, how confident, how direct. Impact isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting everything that muddies the message. Minimal effort starts with trust. Trust that your core work is enough. Trust that showing up with presence is more valuable than showing up with perfection. Trust that your energy is a limited resource, and deserves to be spent wisely. When you trust yourself, you stop performing. You stop padding your hours with unnecessary fluff. You stop proving. And you start delivering only what matters. One of the most powerful shifts you can make is asking, what would this look like if it were simple? Not dumbed down, not stripped of quality, just simple. Direct. Clean. This question has saved me from countless spirals. It's helped me design offers that take less time but deliver more value. It's helped me streamline systems, say no to scope creep, and stop tying my worth to how drained I feel at the end of the day. It's not about doing the bare minimum. It's about doing the right minimum. The minimum that gets the maximum return without bleeding you dry. There's a reason minimalists live with intention. They choose only what adds value. You can apply the same principle to your income. What work actually moves the needle? What clients actually energize you? What actions give you disproportionate results? This chapter isn't a permission slip to slack off. It's an invitation to zoom in. To do less better, to work with the grain of your genius instead of against it. Because when your effort is clean, your impact is sharp. And when your impact is sharp, you don't need to hustle for validation. The results speak for themselves. Chapter 5. The high price cost of cheap clients. Not all money is good money. That's a lesson many of us learn the hard way, usually after we've accepted a client or job that paid less than we wanted, drained more than we expected, and left us wondering if it was even worth cashing the check. On the surface, it looks like a smart move. Book the gig, fill the calendar, keep the income flowing, but underneath it all, cheap clients often come with the most expensive price tags. There was a season where I said yes to every offer. If someone could pay me, I'd find a way to make it work. At first it felt empowering, money was coming in, people needed me, the business was moving, but then the cracks appeared. The lower-paying clients required the most hand-holding. They didn't respect boundaries. They questioned every line item, every process, every decision. What I thought would be easy money turned into emotional labor. It wasn't just time I was giving away, it was energy, clarity, sanity. Cheap clients are rarely just about the dollar amount. It's about the energy exchange. When someone undervalues your work financially, they often undervalue it in other ways too. They miss deadlines. They push scope. They second-guess your expertise. And because you agreed to a lower rate, you feel like you have to tolerate it. Like you owe them more than you ever agreed to. And that creates resentment, the silent, festering kind that doesn't just affect that one relationship, but spills into everything else you do. Intentional earning means protecting the integrity of your work, not just producing outcomes, but preserving your peace. It's about recognizing that every yes has a cost, and sometimes that cost is too high, no matter what's on the invoice. When you work with clients who respect your value, the relationship feels like a partnership. There's ease, clarity, momentum. But when you compromise your rate, you often compromise the container. You send a signal that your boundaries are negotiable. And the wrong people will always test that. One of the most radical shifts you can make is deciding that your peace is worth more than a paycheck. That you'd rather have one aligned client than 5 draining ones. That your rates aren't just numbers, they're filters. They keep the wrong people out and make room for the right ones to find you. Because when you raise your rates from a place of self-respect, you raise the standard for how you want to work and live. It's not about elitism, it's about sustainability. You can't do your best work if you're constantly in repair mode, fixing misunderstandings, chasing payments, managing chaos. You can't build a business rooted in intention if the foundation is people who don't see your value. And you can't feel proud of your income if it was earned through resentment and overextension. You deserve to feel clean about the money you make. There will always be someone willing to undercut your price. Let them. Competing on cost is a race to the bottom. Competing on clarity, alignment, and trust, that's where your true value lives. Your best work doesn't happen when you're stressed. It happens when you're supported. And the right clients don't just pay well, they feel right. They bring a sense of ease that no discount ever could. So the next time you're tempted to say yes to an offer that feels off, pause. Ask yourself what it might really cost. Because the dollars are only part of the story. Your time, your energy, your integrity, that's the real currency. And protecting it is the most intentional thing you can do. Chapter 6. Designing your enough line. We live in a world that doesn't believe in enough. There's always another level to reach, another income goal to chase, another zero to add. And when you're surrounded by messages telling you to keep pushing, it's easy to forget you get to define what success looks like. You don't have to climb forever. You can choose to arrive. That choice begins with a question most people never ask: what is my enough? Your enough line isn't about settling. It's about knowing. Knowing what actually supports your life, your energy, your values. When you define your enough, you give yourself something solid to stand on, a target that reflects who you are, not who the world wants you to be. Without it, you'll always be moving the goalpost. You'll keep saying yes to more, not because you need it, but because you never paused to figure out what was truly required. I remember the first time I sat down to calculate my enough. Not just bills and expenses, but everything: creative time, health support, margin for rest, generosity, joy. It was humbling to see the actual number, smaller than expected. Not because I was thinking small, but because for the first time I was thinking clearly. I realized I didn't need endless growth. I needed consistent grounding. I didn't need to scale forever. I needed space to breathe. Designing your enough line starts with honesty. Get real about your lifestyle needs, your desired rhythm, and the things that truly matter to you. Include the non-negotiables, the things that bring meaning, and the buffer that keeps stress from creeping in. Then add it up. Give it a number. Not a fantasy number. A functional one. The number that lets you live well, not extravagantly but intentionally. You might be surprised. You might find out that you're already hitting your enough and just didn't realize it because you were too busy aiming higher. Or maybe you're just shy of it, and now you know exactly what to aim for. Either way, clarity replaces the chase. You stop measuring your worth against someone else's milestones. You start focusing on building a life that feels rich from the inside. This is where intentional earning becomes practical. Once you know you're enough, you can reverse engineer your income. How many clients do you actually need? How many hours do you really want to work? What pricing structure supports your goals without draining your time? Suddenly, you're not just working to work, you're working with purpose. Every decision gets filtered through that enough line. If it pushes you past what's needed into overwhelm, it's a no. If it supports what matters, it's a yes. The enough line also protects you from the addiction to more. Because yes, more money can be useful, generous, freeing, but only when it's earned without sacrificing your health or happiness. When you know what's enough, the extras become optional, not essential. You can say yes when it feels good, and no when it doesn't. You stop trying to impress, and start trying to align. There's nothing passive about this. It takes courage to opt out of the never-ending climb. It takes clarity to define your enough when the world is shouting for excess. But the moment you draw that line, you regain your power, you set a new standard. Not based on scarcity, but based on sovereignty. You become the architect of your work, your time, your money. So what's your enough? Not someday. Not when things calm down. Right now. Sit with the question. Sketch it out, or define it. Because once you know what's enough, everything else becomes a choice. And that's where real freedom begins. Chapter 7. The Alignment Filter. Not everything that looks like an opportunity is meant for you. Some offers come dressed in flattery, urgency, or dollar signs, but beneath the surface, they pull you off course. They require you to twist, stretch, or shrink yourself in ways that don't feel right. And if you've ever said yes to something that paid well but felt off, you know what that dissonance costs. That's where the alignment filter comes in. The alignment filter is simple. Does this fit who I am, how I want to work, and what I value? If the answer is no, or even maybe, it's probably a no. Because when something is truly aligned, it doesn't feel forced. You don't have to convince yourself. You don't have to override your gut. You just know. There's a click, a resonance, an ease. It doesn't mean it won't challenge you, but it won't cost you your center. We often ignore that gut feeling. We rationalize. We say, it's just for a little while, or I need the cash, or this could lead to something better. And sometimes it does. But more often, it leads to resentment, fatigue, and that quiet voice asking why you keep repeating this cycle. Alignment isn't a luxury. It's a strategy. When you build your income around alignment, everything gets more efficient. You stop wasting time on work that drains you. You stop onboarding clients who aren't a fit. You stop chasing opportunities that look good on paper but feel heavy in your chest. I've taken on projects that were misaligned, thinking I could make it work. Every time, I paid in ways that went far beyond the money. I over-delivered to overcompensate. I dreaded every meeting. I counted down the days until the contract ended. It wasn't the work, it was the fit, and no amount of professionalism can fix a mismatch at the core. Using the alignment filter means getting clear on what matters to you before the offers come in. What kind of people do you work best with? What kind of timelines support your energy? What values do you want reflected in the people you serve? What kind of flexibility, compensation, and communication style do you need to thrive? Write it down. Make it real. Because once you name it, you can use it. Every time a new opportunity shows up, run it through the filter. Not just can I do this, but do I want to? And will I still respect this decision 2 months from now? Alignment isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a whisper, but you'll feel the difference. You'll feel it in how you show up, how you sleep, how you move through your day. Work that's aligned doesn't just pay, it adds to your life. And yes, sometimes aligned opportunities pay less than chaotic ones. But when you calculate the cost of stress, scope creep, and emotional friction, the aligned path often comes out ahead. You deliver better. You finish faster. You protect your energy. And you build a reputation for doing work that reflects your best self, not just your most available self. There's power in knowing what fits and having the courage to wait for it. The more you use the alignment filter, the stronger it gets. You train yourself to notice early signals. You develop instincts. You create boundaries that aren't walls, they're invitations for the right things to find you. And over time, your work life starts to feel like it was designed for you, because it was. Your time is too valuable to waste on misalignment. Your energy is too precious to pour into the wrong places. Use the filter. Trust the feeling. Build your income on resonance, not reaction, because when the fit is right, everything flows easier. Chapter 8. The Energy Budget. We've been taught to manage money and time, but no one ever teaches us to manage energy. And yet, energy is the true currency behind everything we do. It's what fuels your work, your creativity, your clarity. It determines how you show up for your clients, your ideas, your life. You can have all the time in the world and still feel stuck if your energy is gone. That's why building an intentional earning life starts with creating an energy budget. Just like you don't spend beyond your financial means, you shouldn't commit beyond your energetic capacity. But most of us do. We say yes to projects we know will leave us wiped. We take calls at times that clash with our natural rhythms. We try to cram deep work into hours when our brains are foggy. And then we wonder why we're tired, distracted, or burned out. It's not a motivation problem. It's a mismatch between your energy and your output. Start noticing where your energy goes. What kind of work leaves you buzzing? What kind drains you for hours afterward? What tasks feel easy and alive, and which ones feel like wading through mud? Your answers are the blueprint for your energy budget. They tell you what to lean into and what to let go. They help you structure your days and your earnings around your natural strengths, not around someone else's expectations. I used to power through. I'd stack back-to-back meetings, ignore my creative dips, and work through lunch like it was a badge of honor. But over time, I noticed something. The quality of my work was dipping, even when the quantity stayed high. I was doing more but delivering less. The problem wasn't productivity. It was depletion. I was bankrupting my energy reserves and hoping discipline would carry the load. It didn't. Your energy isn't unlimited. It fluctuates, and that's not a flaw. It's a signal. Some of your best work might happen in short, focused sprints. Some of your deepest insights might come during quiet, unscheduled time. Protecting your energy means designing your work life around those patterns. That could mean batching similar tasks together. It could mean building in buffer days. It could mean charging more to do less, but better. If you're crawling through your day running on fumes, it's not just your calendar that needs attention, it's your entire ecosystem. Who's getting the best of you? Are those clients, meetings, and to-dos really worth your prime energy? If the answer is no, it's time to reassign that energy with intention. Because when you spread yourself thin on low-impact tasks, The work that actually matters gets the scraps. And so do you. Imagine if you treated your energy like a precious budget, you'd be more selective about where it goes. You'd stop overcommitting. You'd start organizing your income around energy-rich work and letting go of the stuff that bleeds you dry. This isn't about doing less for the sake of it. It's about protecting your capacity so you can do more of what matters and do it well. You can't create sustainably if you're constantly in recovery mode. You can't serve powerfully if you're operating from depletion. Your energy is the engine behind everything you build. Honor it. Track it. Protect it. Let it guide how you earn, when you work, and who you work with. Because the most successful people aren't always the busiest, they're just the most energetically aligned. Money matters. Time matters. But energy? That's what makes the difference between doing work that's profitable and doing work that's powerful. Build your income around your energy, and you'll build a life that actually works for you, not just one that works you. Chapter 9. Close the open loops. Open loops are the invisible drains on your energy, your focus, and your earning clarity. They're the half-finished projects, the unanswered emails, the mental clutter of things you keep meaning to get to but never quite do. Each one might seem small on its own, but together, they create a kind of background noise that makes it hard to think clearly, act decisively, or create anything intentional. And if you're earning while carrying dozens of these open loops, you're doing it with a weight you don't even realize you're carrying. You've felt it. That sense of something unfinished nagging at the edge of your thoughts while you're trying to focus on new work. The mental tab that's always open. The list you keep rewriting instead of resolving. These aren't just productivity issues, they're energetic leaks, and they directly impact how clean, calm, and confident you feel about your income. Intentional earning requires intentional attention, and that means closing the loops. Closing a loop doesn't always mean finishing a task. Sometimes it means canceling it. Sometimes it means acknowledging it doesn't matter anymore and letting it go. The key is to bring everything you've been mentally holding into the light. Write it down. All of it. Every to-do idea, follow-up, maybe, one-day project. Get it out of your head and onto paper. Only then can you begin sorting. What needs to be completed? What can be deleted? What can be delegated? What can be scheduled for later? When you do this, you create a kind of mental exhale. The pressure eases. The fog lifts. You start to see the truth about where your attention has been going, and where it hasn't. And often, you'll realize that a lot of the loops you've been carrying don't even belong to you anymore. They're obligations you took on out of guilt, projects you accepted out of fear, expectations you absorbed without ever agreeing to. Letting them go is not irresponsible. It's mature. It's strategic. One of the most powerful ways to reclaim your focus is to complete what you've started, or consciously close the chapter. Follow up with the client you've been avoiding. Send the invoice that's sitting in drafts. Cancel the subscription you keep forgetting about. These are small moves, but they have a big emotional return. They create closure. And closure creates space for better ideas, higher energy, cleaner earning. This practice isn't just about cleaning up tasks, it's about reclaiming your capacity. Because every open loop is a form of self-distraction. It keeps you in reaction mode instead of creation mode. And when you're earning with open loops everywhere, you're operating from fragmentation. That fragmentation can feel like stress, self-doubt, or burnout. Not because the work is too hard, but because your system is overloaded. Imagine running your business like a room with every drawer open, every cabinet half closed, papers scattered everywhere. Sure, you can still function, but barely. Now imagine closing each drawer one by one, putting things where they belong, clearing space on the desk. Suddenly you can breathe, you can focus. You can choose what to create next, instead of being pulled in 20 directions at once. Intentional earning is spacious. It's not about hustle. It's about clarity. And clarity comes when you remove the background noise. That starts with closing loops, not all at once, but one decision at a time. Decide what stays. Decide what goes. Give yourself the gift of clean completion, because an open loop might feel harmless, but it's a hidden cost. And when you stop paying it, you start earning with freedom again. Chapter 10. The slow work movement. Somewhere along the way, speed became the badge of legitimacy. The faster you work, the more you must be accomplishing. The faster you reply, deliver, launch, produce, the more serious you must be about your craft. But speed is not the same as depth, and working fast doesn't always mean working well. In fact, for a lot of us, the obsession with speed is what keeps our best ideas from ever fully taking shape. Slow work isn't lazy. It's intentional. It's the choice to create from depth instead of urgency, from clarity instead of chaos. It's deciding that the quality of what you do matters more than how fast you can crank it out. And in a world that rewards burnout and busyness, slow work is radical. It requires trust in yourself, in your process, in the idea that fast isn't the only way to succeed. Intentional earning thrives inside the slow work movement. When you slow down, you start asking better questions. You stop rushing to the next task and start noticing what actually moves the needle. You pause long enough to listen to what your work is asking from you. And when you do that, something powerful happens. Your output sharpens. It becomes more focused, more valuable, more resonant. You say more with less. I used to equate momentum with movement. If things were happening fast, I thought I was making progress. But I noticed something. The more I rushed, the more I repeated myself. I wasn't evolving, I was recycling. My ideas weren't deepening. They were looping. And when I finally gave myself permission to slow down, to take more time between projects, to sit with an idea instead of forcing it out, the work got better. The money followed, not because I hustled harder, but because the work had weight. Slow work honors your rhythm. Maybe you're not designed for back-to-back calls. Maybe your best ideas come after 3 hours of silence, not 30 minutes of brainstorming. Maybe a client deliverable that takes someone else 2 days needs 5 from you, but those 5 days produce something unforgettable. You're not a factory. You're a human with nuance, energy shifts, and a unique process. Slowing down doesn't diminish your value, it reveals it. There's courage in choosing slow. Because slow isn't always safe, it's quiet. You don't get as many dopamine hits, you don't get the immediate praise, but what you gain is depth, presence, mastery, and those qualities don't just improve your work, they improve your experience of working. You start enjoying what you do again, instead of racing to finish it. You stop measuring your days by output and start measuring them by meaning. The world doesn't need more rush content, more half-baked offers, more reactive launches. It needs depth. It needs clarity. It needs creators, consultants, and service providers who are willing to think longer, speak slower, and deliver with intention. That's how you build something lasting. That's how you attract clients who respect the process, who pay for presence, not just speed. You can still be efficient. You can still deliver, but you get to do it in a way that respects your bandwidth. You get to earn in a way that supports your nervous system. You get to work from alignment instead of adrenaline. That's what slow work unlocks. It's not about doing less for the sake of it. It's about doing just enough, and doing it deeply. Let the others rush. Let them race to the top with their timelines and countdown clocks. You're building something rooted, and roots take time. But once they're in place, everything you grow on top of them will be stronger. That's the power of slow. Chapter 11. Money with boundaries. Money without boundaries will own you. It will take every inch you give it, and still ask for more. The emails will creep into your weekends. The clients will expect replies at midnight. The calendar will fill up before you even notice. And at first it might feel like success. It might look like growth. But if you're not careful, you'll realize you've built an income stream that floods your life instead of supporting it. Boundaries aren't walls, they're filters. They keep the right energy in and the wrong energy out. They're not about rejection. They're about respect. Respect for your time, your energy, your needs, your rhythm. When you earn without boundaries, you end up negotiating your values for someone else's urgency. And that negotiation is rarely worth it. It starts small. You say yes to a call at a time that doesn't work for you. You agree to a deadline that requires sacrificing sleep. You keep your phone on just in case a client needs something, one choice at a time. Your earning becomes tangled with your availability, and slowly you lose the margin that keeps you grounded. The work might be fine. The pay might be good. But your peace starts leaking out the edges. Intentional earning means deciding where the edges are. It means saying, here's how I work best, and here's what I need in place to do that well. That could be no calls before 10 a.m. It could be a 4-day work week. It could be turning down clients who demand 24/7 access. The specifics don't matter as much as the clarity behind them. What matters is that you define your capacity instead of letting other people do it for you. There's this idea that boundaries are bad for business, that they make you difficult, less available, less competitive. But the opposite is true. Boundaries signal confidence. They tell the world you value what you bring to the table. They create structure, and structure builds trust. When clients know what to expect and what not to, they relax. You do better work. Everyone wins. I used to think I had to be endlessly available to prove I was valuable. I answered messages at all hours. I made last-minute changes. I adjusted timelines to keep people happy, and I was constantly tired, resentful, and behind. Eventually, I realized I wasn't running a business, I was running myself into the ground. So I made a shift. I built clear boundaries around my income, and I communicated them with kindness, but firmness. Some people walked away. But the right people stayed, and respected me more because of it. Boundaries don't limit your income. They elevate it. They give you the energy to do your best work. They help you stay in alignment. And they teach the people you work with how to treat you. If someone only sees your value when you're overextending yourself, that's not your person. Let them go. Make room for clients, collaborators, and customers who respect your lines and honor your process. The beautiful thing about boundaries is that they also give you back your life, your evenings, your rest, your creative spark. They help you remember that you are more than what you produce, that your income should support your life, not consume it. Every no becomes a yes to something else, your health, your relationships, your sanity. This chapter is your permission to earn with boundaries in place. To set them early, communicate them clearly, and hold them consistently. You don't need to apologize for protecting your time. You don't need to shrink your needs to make others comfortable. You get to choose how you work, how you earn, and how you live. That's not selfish. That's intentional. Chapter 12. The quiet flex your new wealth. There's a kind of wealth that doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. It shows up in how you move, how you choose, how you no longer explain yourself. It's not flashy. It's not loud. But it's unmistakable. It's the calm of someone who knows what they're doing and why. It's the confidence of someone who no longer chases every dollar. It's the quiet flex of living on your terms. This kind of wealth can't be measured in bank statements alone. It's found in the mornings that start slowly, the clients you're excited to serve, the creative work that doesn't just pay, it fulfills. It's found in the boundaries that protect your peace, the space you've cleared to breathe, and the values that shape every decision. That's what intentional earning gives you. Not just more money, but more meaning. Some people will never understand this kind of wealth. They'll keep playing the game of more revenue, more reach, more attention, and that's okay. Let them run. You don't have to match their pace. You're building something different, something sustainable, grounded, true. You're not chasing success, you're embodying it. And when you do that, the right kind of success finds you. Maybe for you, success looks like taking Fridays off, or choosing passion projects over prestige. Maybe it means saying no to high-paying gigs that drain you, and yes to work that fits like a second skin. Maybe it means turning down the volume on external pressure and tuning into your own rhythm. Whatever it looks like, you get to define it. You already have the tools. You already know what alignment feels like. Now you get to keep choosing it. We've covered a lot in this book. We've challenged the chase. We've redefined what enough means. We've explored energy, boundaries, pricing, purpose. But underneath all of it is one simple truth: you are allowed to earn differently. You are allowed to earn slower, cleaner, quieter. You are allowed to prioritize peace over pressure. You are allowed to build a life that looks like yours, not anyone else's. The world may try to tempt you back into the noise. There will always be a shiny offer, a 7-figure promise, a guru shouting that you're not doing enough. Let them talk. Let them sell. You don't need more noise. You need space. You need focus. You need the courage to keep choosing what's right, even when it's not popular. That's real power. And it compounds over time. Here's what I want you to remember. You don't have to prove your worth by how much you earn. You prove your worth by how well you live, by how honestly you create. by how gently you treat yourself, by how intentionally you move through this world. When your income reflects your integrity, you're already wealthy, whether anyone else sees it or not. The quiet flex is this: waking up without dread, having time to think, doing work you believe in, protecting your energy, saying no with grace, saying yes with confidence. That's the new wealth, that's the win. And that's what you've been building chapter by chapter, choice by choice. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of a new way of earning, a new way of living. Keep listening inward, keep checking for alignment, keep honoring your enough, because the more intentional you are, the less you need to prove. And the less you need to prove, the more you realize you're already rich in the ways that matter most. Take care and well.